For more than 3 decades, Reef has lived at the center of hip-hop's evolution, starting as the first music editor at The Source, going to Atlantic Records as an A&R person, shaping the careers for Fat Joe, Lil' Kim, and underground legends like the Artifacts. Reef's fingerprints are everywhere, from producing an early track for a young Eminem to crafting 50 Cent's What Up Gangsta, scoring for film and TV, and helping launch Eminem's Shade 45 at SiriusXM. Today, as an Apple global lead for hip-hop, R&B, and reggae mixes, he continues to bridge eras, bringing an analog heart to a digital age. This is mixed and mastered with Rob Reef Tewlow. Welcome to Mixed and Mastered, the podcast where the stories of the music industry come to life. I'm Jeffrey Sledge, bringing you real conversations with the people who have shaped the sound of music. We're pulling back the curtain on what it takes to make it in the music business. These are the stories you won't hear anywhere else, told by the people who live them. This is Mixed and Mastered. I'm here with an esteemed guest and a longtime friend. He always says I'm his first music industry friend, which I didn't know.
That had like a real job and like worked for a label.
Rob Reef Tewlow. How you doing, man?
Great.
You know, I've never asked you, where does Reef come from? I never asked you that.
But just graffiti, fantasies of, street bombing and trains. Okay. And I wish I had a great origin story for it, but I really don't. I started in earnest at The Source and everybody sort of had cool little, aliases or whatever. And I was just like, all right, yeah.
So me and Rob have known each other so long that my hair was jet black and Rob had shoulder length hair. That's how long we go back. Ages ago, man.
Yeah.
So tell me about so you grew up on the Upper West Side. Tell me a little bit about that.
Upper West Side of Manhattan, in the late 70s, 80s, was a bit different from what it is now, as a lot of neighborhoods all over the city were coming out of, all the turmoil of the 60s. And, I have pretty vivid memories of the city being in bad shape because it was at the doorstep of financial ruin. Trains were a disaster. They're just services that we take for granted. Garbage, police, MS, just everything that the city is supposed to provide and, maintain was just, in shambles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a wild, lawless kind of, often dangerous era, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was. You had to be on point. Once you walked out that door, you had to be on point because you could get caught slipping very easily.
Super fast. Yeah. Over nothing.
Nobody had money, and there was a lot of drugs and drug addicts, and people were just trying to,
And people were just broke.
Yeah,
and
people were broke
and hurting.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
You just didn't feel like anybody cared about your welfare.
Yeah, man. Now I never asked. So did you go to college or did you?
I did.
Okay, where'd you go?
I went to Boston University, BU, for 2 years. It just wasn't a good fit. Boston is an interesting city. You have this influx of all these college students from all the colleges and universities there, and then the local residents, and they just didn't take very kindly to the out-of-towners. And a lot of sort of towny, racist type of shit going on there, which I actually experienced firsthand, and that was sort of like, fuck this, man.
Yeah, I'm out.
So I was there for 2 years, but it's an important sort of launch point because while I'm there, missing New York, missing Mr. Magic, Red Alert, just dying. The only urban radio station at the time was an AM station.
WILD.
Yep.
That went off at 6 o'clock.
But college radio in Boston was rocking.
Yes.
And I sort of found my way to a college show hosted by Jay the Sultan and Go-Go Dave from Harvard. And they were playing joints. Wow, this is, thank God, And through listening to them, I found record stores to go to, or record store. I don't know if you remember Skippy White's.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah, like that was like a, an institution, like an indie record store, black music, and they had 12 inches vinyl cassettes, and it was like that was the closest thing to a Music Factory or Rock and Soul
Mm-hmm.
that you could find. I would listen to their show, and they would talk about this magazine, new issue of The Source, and you know, during my time there, I picked up a couple of issues just, as like regular sort of person, and read through it and was like, wow, this is fucking cool,
Mm-hmm.
man. There's nothing like this. This is awesome. And I decided to transfer back to New York to NYU, and story continues.
It's so interesting. Every time I interview somebody, I always find out things I didn't know. I never knew. I never knew that. I never knew that's how you met Dave and John. I never. I never.
Them yet.
Okay.
I didn't meet them yet. So fast forward to fall of '89, or it's '88. No. Anyhow, that right after I came back, and I have a class. It was like an anthropology, urban anthropology, and there's a guy sitting in the class with me, and I noticed this like pin,
Mm-hmm.
like button. What do
Yeah,
you,
pin.
Jungle Brothers?
Wow.
Yeah, it's Jungle Brothers. It was walked up to him, and I was like, that's a cool ass pin, man. We start to talk, and he's like, yeah, I'm Maddie.
Wow.
Turns out we were living in the same dorm, and he had like tapes of stuff that happened, performances from the recent new music seminar that, a couple months earlier, and we just became fast friends. And he's talking about The Source, that like, working with them, because he grew up in DC with Dave Mays. And there was another guy that was also at NYU that he grew up with, this guy named Dave Shear, who I think also helped make the connection to Dave. So this is when it was like a couple steps above being a
Yeah.
Xeroxed pamphlet. So they didn't have a footprint in New York yet. So it was Maddie, and then it became the both of us, because I was obsessed, and with, like, I loved hip hop, obviously, and this was something that, like, I think everybody looks at the music industry or the business, and I'm like 20 at the time. I don't think I was even 21 yet. You don't have any inkling of, outside of being an artist, like, what opportunities are there. And so I just sort of just jumped in the pool. Uh, Initially, it was just me and Matt running around, a fake photographer, getting on lists to parties, industry stuff, and again, like, we had no inkling of what we were doing. We didn't consider ourselves journalists. If you ask Matt, he'll tell you the same thing. Like, we were just happy to get free stuff. And all of a sudden, the velvet rope was like,
Dude,
for me,
party,
it was
dude.
different
And
because
it was
having
like, it
grown
seemed like it
up
was a
in
party
New
every
York,
night.
and a lot of the people that were starting to do stuff, promote events, or were just out and about, were people that I knew in some form or fashion, from like high school stuff, and just cross
Mm-hmm.
cultural graffiti stuff, and just going out and just stuff.
Yep.
So it was just sort of the constellations aligned. So Maddie and I were the Source sort of reps in New York City, and so that's how it started.
I've had obviously several guests on here, but
Oh no, I saw his. He's
me and
he's
Dante,
he's
Dante was on
amazing.
it, Dante Ross, and
Shout out to DR.
Dante,
Shout
yeah,
out to Dante.
we
That's
probably,
my
we
that's
probably,
my brother.
we probably could have did 5 hours. Oh, totally, 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 1000%. That's one of the things. And whenever we get together, we always kind of end up on that page of like reminiscing. I guess reminiscing about how New York was and how the business was at that time, and how, like you said, we were just all obsessed with the music and the culture. Nobody was really making any money. Not really, you know what I'm saying? So we were just obsessed with it, and we were all going to these different places every time, and we see each other and talk about, you heard the new this and you heard the new that, and that's in the that's how I ended up coming down to the Source all the time, because I was just going out and just talk about
And
records.
you finding
Like,
out
new
about
album
stuff
came out,
too.
and you hear about
Getting
this, you like this album, and you
Because the mode, how things circulated, was different. You either knew or you didn't. I think
yeah.
for something that's building, it's important that it needed that to sort of develop, uh, and fall down a couple times, try things that worked, other things that didn't. Revisions are constantly happening. And like you said, nobody was making money. It wasn't being accepted by mainstream or commercial radio outside of mix shows. So in those sort of situations, like a subculture or a genre can sort of really develop, and people feel a part of something that's theirs, and like, you don't know about this. This
Yes.
is ours. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You said if you don't know, you don't know. So tell me about the early days of the source, because it was such a
Yeah.
pivotal point in culture. That magazine was such a
Well,
important
you know,
important
obviously
part of culture.
it was sort of like the first of its kind that really took the music and the culture and things associated with it in a more serious manner, like a Village Voice or a Rolling Stone or whatever. It wasn't, because everything else was sort of like the teeny bopper, and that's not a knock,
No.
Yeah,
Those
absolutely,
magazines were needed
absolutely.
too
It was
for
all a
what they
dream. I
did.
used to read
Yes,
Word
it
Up
was.
magazine.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it
something
was. It
better
was
than anything else
fresh
they
and
could have ever
Word
seen.
Up, and
Exactly. Absolutely. Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah. Right on and
that
all
was
that stuff.
important
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in its own right. And so there was just, there was this
Mm-hmm.
open lane to say, okay, this is not necessarily a fanzine, but it's something that this special sort of group of people are really passionate and excited about and love to talk about it, read about it, because didn't get any coverage. You didn't see articles or reviews of records or anything.
Nope.
So to have something that's like you feel like is yours or for you was very important, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just a teeny bopper, movement. We're into our 20s, and LL and Run DMC and some of those, sort of legends were a little bit older now. Yeah, absolutely. But even before that,
NWA and
like,
the
like
Ghetto
that
Boys.
85, 86, 87, 88, those were pivotal sort of years, because like it suddenly it wasn't just about the yes, yes, y'all rock the party, hey, 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 who, everybody put your hands up. It wasn't just that. It started to be really um
Mm-hmm.
different, dynamic, taking chances. That's when you get Rakim, BDP, The Bridge, Ultramagnetic, Slick Rick, Kane,
Slick
like
Rick,
that was
that Big
like,
Daddy
you
Kane,
know, so many, uh, you know, Audio 2, Super Level C, like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my, G Rap, like,
Bismarck,
just
and
like, you could go on and on. Even stuff that was like,
mm-hmm.
like one hit wonders, but still were really important. De La's first record, Jungle Brothers. Oh my God, I could just,
Absolutely.
my God, I could, oh
EPMD.
my
We
God.
we we going forever. Yeah, we can go forever.
That was like the greatest times. You know, I remember it was summer of, I think it was, might have been summer of '88. And I was, just doing stupid temp job. And you remember J&R Music World? Yeah. So I was working down in that area, uh, and got paid. And on my lunch break, I went to J&R, and I remember in one sort of stop buying Long Live the King, EPMD's first album,
Wow.
and I think Jungle Brothers' first album, and like
Wow.
all that Friday, and it was just like pretty much,
Yeah, all
pretty
that stuff
much.
dropped on the same
Like, there
day.
was stuff like Cash Money and Marvelous, and but it was like just I'll take that, take that, take that, and just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
blew my mind. And like, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
You go back, and you start to discover these like things and nuances that you never really were, maybe sort of like your mind would be tuned into, and you're just like, God damn, like, how the fuck? And mind you, this was done,
Yep.
without anybody. It wasn't really like produced and conceived and directed. It was just like guys just like, let's do this, let's try that, with no money.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
It
budgets were
just was.
non-existent. It was just this, incredible experimental, just, amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, just just there
That's
were no
crazy.
sort of rules. There wasn't, it wasn't like, where's your single, or but there were
Yeah.
at the same
If we're gonna
time,
go to
these
radio,
all these folks aforementioned all made joints that did pop. Yeah. So,
that still stands to
that
today.
like beat down the doors of, Kiss and BLS, who were, sort of really like narrow minded, and like it had to be like massive to get played during the day.
It had to be, yeah, yeah. You can't even.
It had to be
These
raw
big
bass.
records had to be
It
to
had to
get
be
even an
like,
inkling of
I
airplay during the day.
distinctly remember that
Yeah,
was one that they were like, okay, we're gonna, yeah, but that's it.
cut through. Yeah, 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 yeah. That
You know,
one, and then everything else is Freddie Jackson and Anita Baker and all that. Again, and no disrespect, because I love those records too. But like
but
those
I
records
will
were
say
not in that place
at
to
that
get
time, Frankie Crocker was at
mainstream
BLS,
airplay.
and he was
Yeah,
pretty groundbreaking in some of the stuff that he sort of was like, I'm gonna drop this, and it might have been Lisa Stansfield or Tears for Fears,
yeah,
or or
yeah.
even Wham. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. He would just go. He would always go like
right,
a little bit left of because he was a club head. So what he would do is he would hit the club. Me and Dante talked about this too. He would hit the club, Friday nights, Friday Saturday nights, on the weekend, and he'd go into the booth and like look over. The DJs would get mad at him because he would look in the booth and they didn't want him in there because he was picking out what they were playing. And then that's literally that following
right.
week
And it's not
he
that
would
like,
go
oh,
find
he was
those records and
playing
play them on
records
the
by
air.
white artists. He was just playing stuff by, that was just
He's playing hot shit,
not,
whatever was hot.
just the typical stuff. So yeah, so he was important.
Yeah, 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 man.
Yeah.
So wait, so you get to the source. Now, now what number
Oh,
of employees were
nah,
you
nah,
at this
I don't
time? You
fucking
like
know. It was,
two, three,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. But it's a
And they
small.
didn't even
It's a small
get
staff.
to New York because these guys had to graduate. They didn't finish school.
I remember they would. I remember Dave and John would come down on I guess the train or the bus or whatever. They'd come
Right.
down from Boston and they'd go to all the labels and they would drop off the source. Like you said, it was basically like a pamphlet. Because I was working at Wild Pitch at the time, and that's what they would do. They would come by and be like, "Hey, we're in town," and they'd come by and they'd drop off the pamphlet of the source, and it'd be like the list of the records they were playing, and whatever hip hop news they found at the time, and we talk and shoot the shit, and then okay, we got to go to sleeping bag. and then they'd go all around the city. Then they'd go back up to
And then,
Boston. I remember that. I remember
the
that clearly.
sort
Yeah.
of landscape of labels was drastically different too. It was way more indies, obviously. So Wild Pitch, Profile, Tommy Boy, Sleeping Bag.
And Def Jam
Yeah,
was like not an indie, but it was still pretty small. It was
absolutely not.
tiny.
Well,
It wasn't a
they
big
had
name. You know.
Hello and the Beastie Boys. So, like,
Yeah.
they were sort of like,
Yeah.
I guess, at the top of the food chain a little bit. But
Yeah. Oh, they
all
were
these
definitely
great
at the top of the food chain.
indie labels,
Top.
Select. Remember that? Fred Mandeo. No, I was a
Yeah.
Profile, Cold Chillin' initially in indie. Uh,
Cold
so yeah,
chilling.
it was just,
Yeah.
it's different. But
And what was your first
so
exposure to
I
indie?
sort of,
Like
yeah, it
what
was
was your? I know it
it
kind of
was a
do
get
everything,
in,
but
see a need, feel a need. But when
mm-hmm.
they graduated, and I think it was summer of '89, or it might have been summer of '90 when they
Okay.
graduated, and like, we really started to develop the record review section, and the microphones were born, and so
Yeah.
you know
I still use that scale today. Today, someone come out. There's 4 mics. I still
it
say
was
that.
so
I
important.
still say that to today.
It's like, because it's the stuff like that, that's like, you know that people would argue to the point of being ready to, throw joints at each other, like, like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's like the same thing with, like, now all these like top 100, MCs or whatever. Like, it's different now because
Oh
it
yeah,
seems like it's just
yeah.
designed to be abominable, to just make people angry and circulate it around. And yeah, 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 it's It's a trap.
clicks and retweets. Whereas with the mic,
Yeah,
it was serious. It wasn't to cause controversy. It was like this is how people really felt about
and we
the
didn't, and we,
record,
and we didn't get it right.
it was
We didn't get it right all
right.
the
I
time,
remember I came down to the source. I
but there
remember I
were
came down.
ones. There were
No,
ones
no,
that did.
nobody does. I remember I came down to this. You guys didn't give low end five
Oh
plays.
shit!
I came
I
down
think
there.
I wrote
I
that
said, what
review
are you
too.
talking
It's like a very
about? I
secret
was not five plays,
system
but
of how it
it
all,
was it was like
how
four
the
and a half.
ratings were, but very important. So I
Okay.
became essentially the music editor. So that section was sort of my domain in terms of assigning and acquiring and
Yeah.
putting it together. Which
So tell me one I don't like to say crazy. I guess one spicy story about being a music editor. Like, was it somebody that came down there and was pissed off? Or was it somebody that came down there and was overjoyed that you gave them a good review?
like I think I might have been gone. I might have moved on already by the time it really started to like take hold and people would like. But it was just
Gotcha.
you know the most important sort of experience with that, and it's something that has stuck with me throughout whatever I've done thereafter is you have this opportunity and a platform to champion something that not only just you yourself, but you know there's just when there's something special, and being able to champion it uh was very important, like very rewarding, because like you know I would say we were pretty much on point with what we were like this, like whether it was
Hmm.
Nas, Main Source, Mob Deep, Gangsta, like Cypress Hill. Like I remember going, yeah, like I
Brand new to you.
remember just getting the Cypress album early and was like, what the this is fucking crazy. And you know that was like uh to just be able to champion something that you and your peers within, not only just in the magazine, but like like when you're just like, oh yeah, it's not like picking a stock or something, but just it's something special that is worthy of recognition, and sort of
Yeah.
passing that knowledge, sharing that you know
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you one quick story that I doubt you remember. And then we'll move on to your next phase. So I don't remember how. I think I probably was down at the thing, and we were still cassettes at the time. And you slipped me the first
what.
iteration of the
I
Chronic
don't know
album.
what you're talking about.
Yep.
I don't know.
It wasn't you.
I don't know.
Somebody just
I will
maybe it
neither.
was Maddie.
I will neither
Somebody.
confirm or
I don't
deny
want to.
said.
I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to incriminate anybody. Well, somebody at the source. It wasn't Rob. Somebody at the source slipped me the first iteration of the Chronic album
Mm.
because it had Deep Cover Part 2 on it, which did when it came out. They took it off, and I remember I took that cassette, and I remember I was going to the barbershop the next day or something. So I'm gonna go to the barbershop, and I let is for in a black barbershop for me to do this tells you how incredible that album was. I let like four people go in front of me. I was like, "Now go ahead, man. Go ahead." And I kept listening to it on my Walkman. On my Walkman. I mean, no, go ahead, go ahead. The album was so incredible. I couldn't stop listening to it even to get a haircut. I was like, "Yo, I don't even understand what the hell I'm listening to right now. This
I mean, and
album."
that's what it was a lot of times, where you're just like, what, and so I think that's where we got
Yep,
that, you know
yep.
5 mics, 4 mics, whatever. It's gets into semantics, but like it's still like this is what you need to be up on.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me
Well,
about
hold
when
on,
you sold the
I
first
have Jeff Sledge
Atlantic Records.
stories. So one of the like,
Me.
you were at Wild Pitch Records, located
Yes,
sort of
yes.
in, I guess, what was it, like
It was
And
2019.
housed in
Still
that same
today.
building
Yep.
was Red Alert Productions.
Red Alert. We were on the
Yep, with my
second floor,
man,
and Red was on
God rest his
5.
soul, Funk and Klein. And
Dave Funk and
so that was
Klein.
always a fun stop, always a fun stop.
Always.
But I think, if I'm not mistaken, somehow you might have invited me to, like, definitely, like, my first, like, movie screening, which was a screening of
Yeah.
Juice. Yeah.
Wow.
But I
I
also,
remember this. I
I
believe
remember
you.
a
I
Wild Pitch
remember.
party.
Okay.
I think it was for Gangstar album, the No More Mr. Nice Guy. It,
Probably.
Preem knows the name of the spot. I took pictures there. Yeah, I still have them,
Wow.
which I'm trying to do something with the stuff. But I'm gonna save that because it's sort of a long story there. But it was like some, like hunt and fish, like, club with, like, animal, like, heads on the wall and shit. Do you remember this? I mean, I
I
was there
don't. I
because
really
you
don't. I
invited
really
me and
don't.
Maddie.
I believe it, but I just don't remember. Yeah, I mean, I believe it. I just don't. I don't remember, but I
And
believe the
yeah,
story.
it
I'm
was,
100%.
I was just like, this is fucking cool. And I have a photo, Easy E, Preem, and, like, they were there. Yeah, yeah, like, crazy shit, right? Like, just like, Easy with
Wow.
the Compton hat and the Lokes, crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow.
Well, it
Yeah. So
was
tell
it
me
was a
about the
big beat
Atlantic
move,
move
but which
and
had
how
been,
what happened.
acquired by Atlantic. It was an opportunity,
Okay.
uh, that my good friend, my brother, also Stretch Armstrong, sort of, who I became friendly with and would be up at the radio show with him and Bob, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get
Mm-hmm.
closer to the process. I just wanted to dig deeper. Became, really, it piqued my interest of, like, not just championing something, but, like, to sort of seek it out and to bring it, help develop it. And yeah, and so
Yeah.
that
Bring it to
became,
fruition.
you know, getting this opportunity with through Stretch and Craig Kalman, and sort of getting my feet wet, in way over my head, not knowing anything. Hey, it's my cat. What's up, Lucky? Yeah, so just, you know, having no, just learning on the fly. Not fake it till you make it, but
Yep.
just try to figure it out. Yeah.
Yep. Figuring it out. What were a couple of the first acts you
Double
worked
X
with on your
Posse,
big beat? Not gonna be able to.
those guys.
I love you. I love that record to this day. To this day, I still be like, nah, baby. I'll just say it.
Shout to my man Sugar Ray. Rest in peace to BK. He passed last year. Very unfortunate. Great experience. Not easy, but just, I got connected to the producer T Ray through that experience. A few other people.
Okay.
It just, that was like, fucking boot camp. Making records,
Yeah.
it's more than just, you're going to be a star, kid. Here, it's there's a lot that goes into it, from the admin budgeting aspect to, trying to understand the, being in the studio to really soak up what happens. Like, how do you get from, all these different points? And I,
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have any too many people, uh, that I could, sort of be like, what would you do? Or what did you do when you were in? And probably one of the only people was Dante. That's my man. Like, he, was always sort of just, like, supportive for me and Maddie, especially, like, because he could have,
Good.
you know, been like, fuck y'all, but he was cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Dante and I were sort of adjacently connected, just from downtown people that I knew, that were like my age, a little bit younger than him. But, it was just, we just, um, started to see each other out, and realizing that we, sort of knew a lot of the same people. And he was just always just cool and helpful,
Mm-hmm.
when he didn't have to be.
Yeah.
And so I'll always love him for that.
Wow.
It's my man.
And we'll be right back. Ready to launch your podcast? Merrick Studios offers comprehensive services, from concept development and seamless production to strategic marketing and monetization. Let your story take the mic. Visit merrickcreative.com/studios and let's get to work.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to our show.
Tell me about Little Kim.
She was amazing, just coming in straight off of fucking Fulton, Washington, and
Right from the hood.
I knew Biggie through, because Mr. C had connected Big's demo to Maddie when he was at the Source with Unsigned Hype, and we were all, Maddie lived close by, Fulton St. James where Big was, so we would be just out hanging, like C's, Nino, Cheek, Big, just right there on Fulton, while Big was recording the first record, Ready to Die, and seeing, sort of what he was going through, and, sort of his ideas of what he wanted to do, not always being on the same page with Puff, because he's like, Puff wants me to do this shit, I'm not. And, Puffy knew what he knew, yeah, forget all the other shit, but at that moment, he made the calls that really sort of set the stage for everything. And because I remember Big wanted Machine Gun Funk to be the first single. It's and whether or not I agreed with it, it was just it wasn't going to happen, and the idea of doing not a mainstream record, but a radio record, may have felt like, oh, you're selling out or some shit, but I've seen this not only with Big, but with Pun and a couple other guys that where they're such fucking ill MCs, suddenly when they see the dividends of crafting a hit, and they're like, I think a light goes on in their head. We're like, what? They're like, wait a sec. That was actually easy, and it starts to reverse engineer how you write song, how you create, and suddenly it's not going 32 bars, leaving 8 open bars to figure out a chorus later, flipped it on its head, and create the chorus first, and then building your song. Yeah, so it's all of a sudden it's it's connected, coherent, narrative, and that's the greats. That's what the greats do. It's not about for a certain point in time, you want to show how nice you are, understandable, but then it's that may not necessarily get you to where you want or you could go potentially, and so to see stuff like that happen on that sort of development, it's crazy. And then they become absolute monsters, not only able to write for themselves, but to be able to pen for others, right, which is that gets you back to Kim. I remember this one time, we're all hanging out on me, Maddie, Big, all the guys and everything. Plastic cups and, backwoods and whatever. And Easy Mo B, who also lived in the area, pulls up. He had a brown, you remember the Sterlings? He had a brown Sterling. And he's like, yo, check out this beat. He's got the Benzie box, the
Benzie box.
What is it? The fucking club, for the steering wheel?
The club.
Yeah. But anyhow, he plays this beat, and it's friend of mine. That ain't right. And I just remember Big, just the eyes wide, and you see the fucking, the nerve endings exploding, like
Wheels
just,
turning.
and he's like, oh man, yeah, and so like a woman like that, you're like, and then fast forward when you hear what he did to it, just absurd. That's what I'm saying. Just like
He
little
was.
moments like that that I was able to just fly on the wall, witness, just amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, who brought Kim in? Was that
Yeah,
and Big?
yeah.
Okay. And was the record pretty much
What, Junior
done when they
Mafia
brought it
record?
in, or they was just
No, but
yeah.
that's when Big really fucking was at. He could shit out songs and hooks and fuck. Well, he was lethal. Just
Yeah.
like he was in such a mode and a groove. He was working on his album and working on these songs. So Players Anthem, I was what?
Mm-hmm. Players
Clark,
Anthem.
produced by Clark Kent.
A
God
funny
bless him,
side story
man.
about Players Anthem. Yeah, the funny story about the Players Anthem joint. Remember the part where she's in the first store
Uh huh.
in the video? That was right around the corner from Wild Pitch. I used to walk past that store every day. The store was on 29th and 7th on the corner. I was like, that's the store around the corner from the job. I used to walk past that store every day. I knew exactly where that was at. When she's trying on the first
Yeah,
store.
yeah. I
Trailers
like
and
I
all that
like
stuff.
that
Yeah,
era of Kim. Because she was raw.
me too. Me too.
I worked on the
She was raw, yeah.
Killers Be Quiet. You gonna be down with the queen. I worked on that with her because Stretch produced
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
record, and yeah.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
so
that.
a very young, sort of not experienced Kim is in the studio laying vocals and not having an easy time with it. Like, we're trying to like counter in. It was funny,
Yeah.
but she gets it finally. Big was at I think he was at D&D working with Preem on his album. He had his leg was still fucked up from the car crash, and comes in, listens, okay, and there's space for the hook, and he just, and I've seen him do it, like, didn't nothing, just okay, goes in, references the chorus.
Knocks it down.
He's like, yo, I gotta go back, get C's to do this. You're just like,
Wow. Yeah. Like this dude's
like
a
like
smash hit
like
record.
as if it was just like, all right, yeah, I gotta go, see ya.
Yeah. I gotta. Yeah. So tell me about your transition into
That just
production.
came from being a studio rat while making the albums that I worked on, whether it was Artifacts, Mad Skills, the Junior Mafia stuff, Kim stuff, everything. And just, because Maddie was at Loud, and we knew Mobb Deep from the beginning, and just being in sessions. And you know how the studio game was in New York at that time. It was just, there were tons of places. And me trying to, meet the newest producers, and it's just folks knew each other, and I just was, again, like, I want to just get a little bit closer because of being around a lot of these guys. I started getting into buying records, and learning about samples, and breaks, and digging,
Digging in the
and just
crates.
had ideas, and just eventually was just like, I want to try, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just yeah. Uh, I got an SP 1200, saved up, and I learned how, started to learn how to use it. I don't know if you remember, it was Large Professor's man, Dr. Butcher from Queens.
I know the name. I
Yeah,
don't know if I remember him,
yeah,
but I definitely
he
know. I know
he
the
was
name, Dr.
amazing,
Butcher. Yeah.
amazing producer, and he was down to executioners too, DJ, like, he was ill. He showed me some stuff, and
Okay.
my man Michael Green, aka M's, Operator M's, who we all know and love. My brother to this day showed me
Mm-hmm.
some stuff, and just like,
Mm-hmm.
tapping away, uh, landed two songs because Artifact's manager at the time, he was also managing Fatal Hussein from the Outlaws, who had a deal with Relativity. And I got two
Okay.
records on that
Mm-hmm.
debut album, and that
Okay.
financed my upgrade to an MPC 3000, and that, which was a big deal.
Do they still make
There's
SP1200s?
actually now like these like like they, this company is made like a sort of souped up SP with like more sample. It's incredible. I'm forgetting the name of it, but yeah, it's like that shit never dies, Like, and that the SP1200 and what it did, like you could do a whole fucking series about that, talking to the different people that that was their weapon of choice. Whether Pete, Large, Muggs, fucking, everybody.
Yeah,
Yep,
that
yep, yep,
dusty
yep.
sound.
So yeah, and so that that was like to get to the next sort of phase, because like the SP was limited in terms of only like 10 seconds of sample time, and yeah, so
Sample time.
so
Yep.
yeah, so I stepped up. I love my MPC, and I loved it. The SP and the MP were like, it's so fucking hip hop the way it's just, these pieces of equipment were designed, and people took them and sort of found little things that I don't think the designers and programmers even anticipated, that became like really important,
Yeah.
sort of things for chopping and programming and all sorts of shit. It's just funny how that works. Like, we people just find like these little backdoor entrances to things, to do things that, like, I don't think was ever conceived or intended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people were just
Yep,
creative, and they just
yep.
figured shit out. So tell me real quick about
Oh
the
man,
50 story, because you produced a
that's a
record on the
that's a great.
50s. I don't even know how many albums he sold at this. That album sold at this point, 15, 20 million. I
So
don't even know. It's crazy.
I was at Atlantic at the time, and I wanted to sign 50. I thought he was, you know, he was just, it was just crazy. Like, I thought what he was doing, his experience, aside, just pausing on the, yeah, he got shot up and everything, and which is a horrible thing, but the talent was all like, I was hearing stories about him. There was at one point, there's a guy, a producer I did some work with on the Terror Squad album. His name is Kurt Gowdy. He was down with Trackmasters, and at the time, Trackmasters, were up in this studio in Bearsville, New York, which actually it was like a house and recording studios, and it was on it. Yeah, yeah, it was owned by Todd Rundgren, legendary artist, producer in his own right, and they were locked out up there banging out projects. And Gowdy was like, "Yo, they got this guy 50 Cent, who is just, he was just going on and on about how crazy this guy was, and the records that he was doing, and just like putting everybody else to shame that was there working on stuff." And then he got shot, and everything got derailed for him. But long story short, I remember like when he was sort of like making his way back, there was an interview that he did with XXL, and just he was saying just real wild off the wall shit. I was like, yo, this guy is, I gotta, yo. And so long story short, Shah Money XL, who was working with him at the time, and Shah is very important. Shah was one of the first people that I knew that when Pro Tools Digi 001 first came out, which was the little box interface, where you could, basically it's Pro Tools for the house, for the home, 2 tracks at a time. But, like that was this revolutionary tipping point, of the analog to digital. And basically that's what was used to make these mixtapes. You didn't have to go to the studio anymore,
That's what they were turning around so fast.
and suddenly 50's just taking people's records and making his own records out of them, and just flipping the industry on its head, and basically telling the world, all right, you turned your back on me, fuck you, I'm gonna do this shit my way, watch what happens. And so he comes up to Atlantic. It was very very, the beef was on. He was walking around with the vest for real. Absolutely, he had
Vest
like
on.
the goons with him for real,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we were just
Mm-hmm.
talking. And for me, it wasn't about like, well, let me hear some demos. I'm like, this guy, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
We're way past that.
That's not even like, I don't give a shit about that. But anyhow,
Yeah.
I had done a couple records of the Bad Meets Evil record, and that's how I met Shaw through Game, with John Schecter's Game Records, which was, it's all
Okay.
like through fam and relationships, and
Always. Always.
I gave a CD to Shaw, and I get a call a couple days later. He's like, yeah, we picked one. I was like, I'm like, what? And he sent it to me, or dropped it off on CD. I still have it buried away, like the original 2-track demo. And just I was like,
Whoa! I can't believe what he did with this record.
wow, like,
Yeah.
whoa, so you're really going there. He's like, oh yeah, you can give a fuck,
Yeah.
you know. But he may not have been, but I think he's underrated as an MC, first of all. But as a
Absolutely.
songwriter,
Oh, he's one of the
I've
best.
seen him
He understands the structure. He understands the choruses.
everything.
He understands it. Yeah, he understands it. He like say he's a songwriter. Like if you kind of skip past some of the subject matter and just break down the structure, he's a great
Amazing,
songwriter. You know.
absolutely
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually, I had to track the record, because I was just like, hey, you hold on to that, because I know he's going to get a deal. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when and with who, And then the Shady thing happened, and aftermath thing. So for me, I'm like, right on. Those are my, yeah, yeah. Well,
Those are your people.
Paul and Shady, obviously, yeah. Uh, I had to track the record, and you know, I was like, yeah, we're gonna have a car pick you up, take you to the studio. I'm like, where? He's like, it's just gonna go. I'm like, okay. I have no idea where I'm going. He was just like,
Yeah.
bring your drum machine. It was
Wow.
like being thrown into a back of a van with the hood thrown over your head.
Yeah.
And and we drive out to like somewhere in Hempstead, I think, uh, and track the record, and he had to do his vocals over, because the original, which is a shame, the original vocals, somehow the file got corrupted or some shit. And but
Wow. Okay.
I got to see his sort of method in the studio, and I, you know, he's on another level. Like, I've never seen like sort of just complete focus, like all business, like just he goes in, boom, 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 like just
Yeah.
effortless.
Like
Not a lot of
it's
not a lot of retakes,
I'm
not
here.
a lot, no
I'm here to work.
punches, ad libs. He's like, I get up the next joint. It's just like,
Yeah.
god
Yeah.
damn, like, you know,
Yeah.
he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. Not that that matters, but like, just the level of just you're blown away. Just how sort of serious and intense and focused, and the way he works,
Yeah.
that I think, is throws cold water on like a lot of the stereotypes of like, rappers in the studio. Like,
Yeah. Maybe
yeah,
partying and 40. I hate those sessions with 40 people
no, there's
there
none
and
of
shit.
that.
It's like, we here to
None
work.
of
It's not a
that.
clubhouse.
It was me.
But
It was me,
it's
him, and the
awesome.
engineer, and Shot. That was it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's go. We're not here to party. We're here
yeah.
to work. So tell me about your transition into after you make these great publishing checks and everything. Tell me about your transition into to radio. You worked for
So, like I
Reef
said,
and Beats and Apple and how that what was that?
I had a relationship with Paul Rosenberg, my
Paul.
brother, and he came to me and he said, "We have a radio station." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And explained what it was. Uh, they did this deal with Sirius where it's like a boutique 24-hour hip hop station under the Shady brand with Marshall's involvement and to create a hip hop station. You know, mix shows were building out like playlist categories. And again, it was a way for me to like, I guess, just like so fucking passionate about the music and its not only legacy and history. When you get an opportunity like this, you got to do it right. Uh, you know, and it's cliche to say for the culture, but it's hugely important.
No, but it was for the culture because nothing else like that
Yeah.
existed.
So
It is for
so
the
that
culture.
means having the right DJs doing shows, playing the right music, and again, it goes back to being able to champion stuff that you hear that you're like, and to play a role in
Yeah.
helping create success stories. You know,
Yes.
it's just something that just finds a way to just be this recurring, overarching theme.
Yeah. No, were you the program director of Shade?
Yeah, I guess it was
What was
sort
your
of
title?
loose the way it was run, but yeah, it's just
Yeah, we're
yeah,
working. We're working. We're
yeah.
working. Yeah, yeah. And then now that tell me how that turned into Beats and now Apple where you are now.
I was there for 10 years, and
I didn't realize it was that long. Wow, I didn't realize it
it
was
went
10
by
years.
fast too.
Wow.
Um, Obviously it was great experience because it maintained and created new relationships on labels, managers, artists, so on and so forth. Paul Paul came to me and was like, "Yo, do you know Larry Jackson?" And I did not. And he sort of, reached out, wanting to, sort of see if he knew anybody that might be a good fit for this opportunity.
Mm.
So, you know, uh, Paul, did the John Stockton, you know,
Absolutely.
which was a really honorable and just, great thing to do because he didn't have to, because he's going to be potentially losing somebody,
Yeah.
you know.
Paul's not a
No,
hater.
no, look,
He's
not
not
at
a
all.
hater.
And for me, uh, you know, the drums of the streaming revolution were, don't scoff and laugh at it and be like, this is going to come and go. This is real. And, you know, certainly Apple's not going belly up anytime soon.
They
Yeah, like, like, I don't think that this is going to, I think they're pretty stable. So,
yeah, they're
yeah.
solid.
So, yeah, and this was right before, this was after the Beats acquisition. And so part of it was the hardware aspect of Beats Electronics, but also Beats Music, the algorithm music streaming thing that they had already started. But I think Apple saw the potential in it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, how did you always get to stay in New York? Because with Beats, weren't they
I
LA
was
based?
I was back and forth.
You back and
Yeah,
forth, okay, back and forth, yeah. So so
but
so
man,
so so
I'm gonna be hard pressed to get out of New York. I don't even have a driver's license, man. I'm terrible.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're a true blue New Yorker. You're a true blue New Yorker for real. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you are. You definitely are. So what's happening now, and what's happening next for Reef?
I'm very fortunate where I am and what I'm doing right now. And so, yeah, just keep going. I still enjoy making music, and you know, Apple, the opportunities that I've been given once again allow me to initially work producing radio content, and now DJ mix stuff for that and helping that part of their business grow.
Mm.
You know, it allows me to be sort of like a custodian of the cultural flame,
Yes.
but not just, but
agree.
you know, as far as like making sure the sort of legacy catalog stuff is represented and intact and the stories are told properly, but also new and next.
Yeah, you've always been. You're not one of those people to get stuck. Like there's a lot of our peers that have gotten stuck in an era and they just refuse to like accept what's moving. It's like, nah, this is it. I'm staying right here. You've never been that. You've always you're a keeper of the culture for sure, and you're a historian of it actually. But like,
Well,
you've
I'm just a
also
big
been
nerd,
looking this way though. But you've always
a
looked
big
this way.
music
Like,
nerd,
with that.
as we all are.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
And
pivot.
Pivot, you know? But you know, actively seeking out things, how they can affect the way things are being created, being made, the opportunities that come out of that. You know, like I guess the best example is, you know, the big boogeyman AI has its positives and negatives, but what the sort of STEM software stuff that's been created out of AI that, like, you know, can break down songs and separate, you know, elements is incredible. And for the DJ who is, you know, knows their craft, not just pressing buttons, but like DJ, and it brings the focus back in on the people, the guys that like have that skill level, that aesthetic, that ability, not just technically, but curation and just ideas. It's like for DJs right now with stems, you can get acapellas that you always wanted, or it like just opens up these like lanes of creativity. It's like have, you know, if you were a kid and you get the fast pass to Disney World and they've closed the whole park, and that, you know, it's just you and your boys and you're just like going crazy.
Yeah, just doing whatever.
It's that, and it's amazing.
One of my favorite podcasts is called One Song.
Oh yeah, I know those guys.
And they take advantage of that STEM technology.
Yeah, just breaking down parts,
breaking stuff down in the acapellas and the different parts. On this, the hi hat, and they do an excellent job of using STEM technology to enhance their breaking down of records. I love it.
But it's man, what it's doing for just like, to catch that acapella and be able to do a blend that like would have been impossible 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so it's just impossible. And so for the guys that are really nice with theirs, you know, this is a great time for them to be able to like show their abilities creatively at remixes, blends, mashups, whatever you want to call it. It's just fun and great to listen to.
It is. Man, I'm proud of you.
Thank
man.
You, bro.
You made a good name for yourself. You got a beautiful family.
Thank you, man. You did pretty good too there.
I'm hanging in there, man. Only thing bad is the Giants suck.
Jesus Christ.
But besides that, I'm really proud of you.
The Jets suck too.
Yeah, just chill out till basketball season.
Go Yankees. That's all I got to say. Go Yankees.
Go Yankees, and then go Knicks in about a month.
Yeah, I'm a Nets fan. It's gonna be.
Yeah,
gonna be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing. New definition levels of stink, but
my God,
I'm not a fan.
No, Dolan sucks.
I'm disrespected Charles Oakley, disrespected Patrick Ewing. You know,
the only reason the team is good. I've read reports on this, is because he was building the Sphere in Vegas.
Right, so his attention was occupied.
He wasn't around, and it kind of built the team without his interference. And now it's at this point, and I'm just like, okay.
No, they got a shot. They got a legit shot. because
I know. So it's like, James, chill out, B. Like, they built it without you. Leon and West built it without
yeah,
you.
like he doesn't get in the mix with the Rangers. He lets them. So
Exactly.
what the fuck do you think makes you a basketball savant? Get out of here.
Yeah, chill out, man. You know. So I got a couple quick questions for you. If you can, is there any kind of interesting Eminem story
I mean, just first
for you working with him?
meet. Yeah, absolutely. Just first meeting him and working with him, doing the Bad Meets Evil, Scary Movie, and Nothing to Do records. This was sort of right before it all happened, you know.
Okay.
But just him, he's in the studio. Royce 5'9" is there, and there wasn't really like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. It was just like, yeah, he likes this beat, and just he, has like books of rhymes, and just starts to go in, and it was just like, and he does this thing like when it's like his hand is guiding his cadence when he's doing the vocals. He does it live too, but it was like that was a thing. Like the hand is like hitting like it's almost like a, not karaoke, but it's moving in rhythm with
Like the
his
bouncing
phrasing.
ball, follow the bouncing ball kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like moving in rhythm with his phrasing, which was
Wow.
yeah, it's just I've never seen anything like that before.
Wow.
And I was
wow.
like, yeah, this guy can rap pretty good. I think he's going somewhere.
I think he's gonna be all right. I think he'll be all right, you know? I think he'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right, so
But like mind you, like this was before, Interscope, and he was doing indie records, and it was different, his financials were different, like just everything was different, but you could sort of feel something special. You could see it, like it was,
something was gonna happen. Yeah, he was gifted. He was gifted, you know.
Oh yeah.
Give me three of your favorite hip hop. I got to, man. This is what I do. Give me three of your favorite hip hop, or three of your favorite, not hip hop, three of your favorite magazines.
Magazines, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not gonna be like lists, like.
Okay, good. Growing up, the Village Voice. Growing up in New York, the Village Voice was a big deal. It was just for music, culture, politics. It was just different, interesting, and like heavy music edge. It's where all the cool venues listed their upcoming concerts and shows. So that was always cool. Whether it was like, just everything from some of the bigger venues, but to like the cool stuff, like the punk and hardcore shows, some of the hip hop shows. It was just like a music head, sort of like close to the ground, sort of a thing. So Village Voice for sure. I guess Rolling Stone, just because, and The Source. Like I read it before I became a part of it, and read it like cover to cover. I just remember like there's a new issue out. I'll go to, like I said, go to Skippy White's, we'll cop some new releases, cassettes, or whatever, and cop an issue of The Source. And I distinctly remember, I think it might have been the NWA cover or the Too Short cover. I forget which, but just being like riveted, like just, I just was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just as like, as a fan, Mr. Joe Q Public.
Yeah, riding the one train home, reading The Source.
Yeah, I was still at school in Boston
at
the time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it felt like it was like a way to plug in to something that was like, yeah. So those three.
Give me your three favorite music producers.
It's a hard one. It's a trap. Because I can't just you know?
Yeah, it's a tough call. Every time I do these questions, bro, every time people react like you to at least one of them. Like, come on, man, I can't think of it's tough.
I can't, man, I can't.
Okay,
I might have to.
just name me three. It doesn't have to be your favorite three. Just name me three, and why you like what they've done. And it could be any three.
I hate you, Jeff. Marley Marl.
Yes, absolutely. You are the first one to use Marlon, and thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Because, like, you know, just for the bridge and make the music and nobody beats the biz alone, or like, just Marley Marl.
Okay, absolutely.
Gonna say I love Preem. I love Premier.
Okay.
Like I love what, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say one just because I went into a bit of a wormhole over the weekend. Eric Sermon.
Yeah.
Crazy.
The
early EPMD records and onto all this other stuff that he did, that he's done. It's like he's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with 2 out of the 3. I never got the chance to work with Marlon, but I worked with Premier and I worked with Eric as well, and I respect all 3 of them. So, okay, last question.
Yes.
Your favorite 3?
Fuck. Okay, go ahead.
Favorite 3 Yankees. That's a hard call.
No. That's very easy. Don Mattingly.
Yes.
Was like my favorite at one time. Ricky Henderson.
Okay.
Amazing. I could put up a couple. I mean, you know, I look at Aaron Judge, I'm like, yo, this guy's like breaking records that have stood for, you know, and that's easy though. Yeah. But like, I want to think about a picture of somebody, but I loved Robinson Cano when he was good. I loved Alfonso Soriano when he was good. Chris Chambliss, you know, Mickey Rivers. But yeah, Ron Guidry though was ill.
Yep, he was ill. He was so ill.
Yeah,
he was so ill. Yeah, man. But man, I really appreciate.
I love you, Jeff.
Man.
I love you too, man. You know, I saw Dante's interview and I was just dying because he's fucking hilarious.
Dante's a character, man.
And so I, you know, when you made the call, and I just, you know, like I said, I got to give a shout out to Dante. I got to give a shout out to my brother from another, Theo Glenn, Matty C.
Oh, he's on the list. Maddie's coming on. I've reached out yet, but I have a long list in my phone.
I'm sure.
And he is actually, and he's
my brother Stretch Armstrong.
Yep. I still call him by his government, but I won't say his government on the air. Yep.
You know, it's a whole host of people. Rather than try to name them all, I don't want to disrespect anybody. But yeah, man. Just, you know, you just gotta just take in the small moments and be thankful. You know, you gotta always grind and be kind.
Grind and be kind, because it'll come back one way or another, and you're not doing it for it to come back, but it will come back.
Hopefully, God willing.
You're a decent person.
Yeah, you just try to have your karmic, you know, algorithm working.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, this is one of the first podcasts I've ever done. So, you know, I made sure to shave and shit. You know, shout out to my man Peter Pade. Peter Pade.
I see that. I need one of those. I need one.
Go to peterpade.com. Look at that.
Yeah, man. Okay. That's fire.
Yeah.
With the old fonts and all, that's fire. Yeah, man. That's dope.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
For sure.
You know, we'll be speaking very soon.
Absolutely. You know, come up to New York. Come up to New York, man. Come on.
Yeah, I got it.
Come back.
You can catch Mixed and Mastered on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that follow button, leave a review, and tell a friend. I'm your host, Jeffrey Sledge. Mixed and Mastered is produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.